Today, Cath's going to share with us the answers to this week's case study questions and talk a little bit about the project and share the what's involved and the vision. So thank you so much, Cath. Thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the background to 5,000 Meals?
Oh, good morning, everyone, and I hope everyone's having great school holidays today. This journey for me started about 6 years ago. It was when I had a group of students who were really quite disengaged, and of course I didn't have any money in the budget. And I really wanted to share with my students the fact that they're a really important part of the community, wider community, not just the school community. And I thought, how could I show them that they have a purpose and that they can make a difference? So my brain was reeling around, and I come up with a process of wanting to engage them in a community-based project, and that's how I started 5,000 Meals. My background is I've been teaching for a long time, probably 20 years, and I was a chef before that. So I'm very connected to the hospitality, cookery, culinary world, and I'm very passionate about that. And I always believed that I could make a huge difference in the school network. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. As I said previously, 5,000 Meals was born out of need. I started off small, and I worked with an amazing man called Hamish from Food Bank. And I took my students there to take a tour around the facilities, and then we started making meals, and we had a purpose. We called ourselves the Chefettes, and first of all, we made a couple of hundred meals, and then towards the end of the year, I got my staff involved at my school, and we made over 1,000 Christmas meals with turkey, ham. We made some beautiful Christmas puddings. And it was from that the project grew, where we had another school in the local area come on board, and we saw some beautiful WA produce. And now we have many schools involved. So that's how it started.
That's incredible, and it's amazing how much you can achieve when you as a teacher, and you want to create that experience for your students.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's about giving those students an experience. Each cohort of kids that come through every year are really different. They have different needs. However, this project kind of does stay true, because there's always people that need to be fed, and our students generally really want to make a difference in their communities. And I think this project just aligns with both needs very, very well.
Excellent. And the 5,000 Meals, so the teachers are provided with a training session and a school visit from a chef as well. That's how it works. And then they get the set menus.
Yeah, so over time we realised that making 100 meals at a go isn't always really easy, and a lot of teachers aren't trained in that specific area of bulk cookery. And I thought it's a bit of a networking opportunity. So we designed a training course where teachers actually come together with chefs. So usually we do it at a TAFE. So Joondalup TAFE we're connected to all the TAFEs actually. We usually have a full day, so we have coffee on the go, and we have different chefs who come in, and we make 4 or 5 dishes, and we show the teachers what it takes to actually make not just 1 or 2 meals like we do in the classroom. We bulk it out, and we're making 100, and where there's a special mythology about packaging and labelling. So we go through all that with the teachers. When the program hits the schools after the training session, we provide all the ingredients. We have a set of recipes, and deliveries made to the schools. So they get their dry goods, they get their protein, they get their packaging, they get beautiful labels with the school logo on it. And basically the teachers are off they go, and we do have a visit from a professional chef, because I think there's something special when you're able to have a guest chef in your classroom and in your kitchen. They bring this authenticity to the classroom, and while students really love their teachers, there's nothing like someone to come in that's a little bit different and tells you from a little bit of a different perspective. So it's been very successful.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Having that professional, having that extra person, and it also helps the students feel valued, that, you know, somebody would come in and speak to them and want to talk to them as
Mm.
well.
Absolutely. And they show, or, you know, it's quite amazing some of the little techniques. You think, you know, you got it all covered, but they bring these little techniques with them, and they remind the kids to stand up straight and be proud of who they are, and dress nicely, and be, you know, wear the chef uniform and stuff with pride. So they bring so much.
Excellent. So good. And the school actually creates, so the teacher is responsible for the food hygiene standards, and they apply those standards based on their training that they received.
I think this is where I really love the project. It actually fits into what we deliver.
Mm.
We're with, as home ecos, vet trainers alike. Our fundamental base mythology is all around hygiene and how we look after and value our food. So from when we get our delivery, so we pick up frozen produce. We actually have a van, so we actually, from woe to go, we monitor the temperatures of the food. And then the beautiful thing is that schools actually apply what they're teaching in the classroom. So all those mandatory hygiene, washing your hands, wearing gloves, aprons, chef uniforms, hair, hat, all put into the mix, which is, you know, fantastic.
And it fits within the curriculum as well for many of the
Absolutely.
courses.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Applying what they're learning. Woohoo!
Oh, and as vocational teachers as well, it's so hard to
Yes.
create the scenarios that are sort of like industry, but within the school. So to have a genuine industry project, you know, it must really add so much, or like you say, authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah.
Yeah.
I think during COVID, it really highlighted the importance of hygiene and the online material, what we did after COVID, because the program went massive during COVID. I think we made 20,000 meals.
Mm.
When schools engaged, all the schools actually did the online COVID training, which was just reinforced exactly what we teach in class, and the kids really valued it, I think, after that. I think the case studies we were seeing on TV of how people were dying so quickly due to the fact that the transmission was so great really reinforced what we teach.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, people get so complacent, don't they,
Yeah.
but it's just that, something like COVID just hits home just how real it is, and how
Mm.
important those standards are. You know, the basics, just, they say that it's all the essentials and the basics that have come to light during COVID and really
Mm.
been reinforced.
I mean, 5,000 meals actually became an essential service over COVID, and our hygiene was extreme. You know, for the chef's sake, the students and the teachers' sake, I think it was. But it was really interesting to go to that next level. Bit
Yeah.
scary, actually.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, moving on to our task questions.
Yes.
The first one we asked was, what strategies can be put into place to ensure that the due diligence is undertaken? So in preparation, production, packaging of the food, so that you get that consistency of standard across all of the schools.
Yep. So one of the things we did from the woe to go was, and technology is a wonderful thing. We actually provide all the scaffolding as much as we can. I mean, we are human, so there are going to be things that sometimes we can't control. But from the time we pick up food, we monitor the temperatures. So the vans that we use actually, they register from when we put the food into the van right through to the end of deliveries. So that's when we deliver food, and then when we pick up food, the same thing happens. So if there's any variations in the temperature that it's stored, it actually notifies me. And I
Right.
have a printout of all the, you know, even when the doors are open and there's a slight variation, I know about it. And then our drivers actually have temperature probes. And so once it's delivered at school, we take a reading of the food. And then after that, schools actually have to monitor. They're responsible for putting the food away, of course, and most of them, due to their hygiene packages, will actually pick up the temperature. We have sheets that we give out to our schools, and so they monitor the temperatures. And it's the same with packaging and freezing. They're given weights that the meals actually have to be, and the sizing of the containers, the labels, all those things have to be pretty much the same, because you don't want one person getting a nice big fat 500 gram meal and someone else only getting 250. I think you'd have a few fights on the streets. And also, we really don't want anybody dying. We want people to get a meal and know that it's prepared really well, and the care, not only just the love of creating the meal, but the care before and after deliveries is maintained.
Absolutely. And do the teachers take that responsibility for the quality checking through the process?
I think that's definitely part of the process that we teach with the training. And all the teachers that we work with, we're in really fantastic communication. We have a coordinator that makes sure that schools are ready for their deliveries. They know when the deliveries, they know what they're getting, and they know what they're cooking for the week. So there's a lot of communication. It wouldn't work without it. We've had years where we haven't had a coordinator, but it doesn't work as well. I think you really open yourself up to disappointing schools and recipients when you don't have that communication, really good communication.
Yeah, it's so key, isn't it? And that does move really well into the next question, which was, with so many moving parts to the program, communication, would be essential, which is, as you've just said. And so in terms of what would be the key areas that would be considered and potential risks with regards to the communication?
I think there's quite a few areas. One of the main areas for us is that our team knows what we're doing. I think, we have a set amount of recipes that we have. We know what schools we would like them to do. We know the number of meals, but the most important part to us is the schools. So we have to make sure that schools are really feel comfortable doing what they're doing. It's a big undertaking for teachers to be making meals and going out on a limb. A lot of them, as we said before, haven't had that bulk training, and there's a lot that we're asking teachers to do outside their normal duties. So communication to schools is very important. So we talk to the principal. There's a letter that we send. We speak to the teacher weekly around deliveries, and then we follow up with certificates for kids and a thank you letter to the principal and the school. I think that's really essential, because you're saying to that school, we value your input. We value all your students' hard work and your teacher's extra hours that she's put in to make sure that the program's working effectively and efficiently. There's always going to be hiccups with pickups and deliveries, and that also leads to making sure that the agencies close to the schools receive the meals and are ready to receive the meals. So there's lots of little areas that if you don't have it right, you don't build those relationships, you can make a few headaches and grey hairs for yourself. Hence a few grey hairs there.
Yes, definitely. And the point that you've just hit on there is so meaningful, is that things move a lot better and a lot easier if you've got and you get more buy-in and support if you've got very good solid relationships, and solid relationships are built on good communication. So I love that link and to that.
Absolutely.
And in terms of raising the profile and encouraging that collaboration and engagement, how are social media tools used? So, I mean, obviously you do the thank yous and the certificates and you communicate through your processes with the schools, but what about social media? How does that work?
So we have one of our volunteers does our social media. We actually have special forms that we send out, talent release, to our schools, and we encourage schools to post on their Facebook page, use their newsletters, and then once we've got permissions, we post on our social media. I think it's fantastic. I love seeing kids in action personally. I think it's that's what the whole program's based around. It's for youth. It's actually giving youth a voice and a purpose to say, you're important, and if without you we don't make these meals. So I think social media is a great platform. I think Instagram is the one that's really probably more powerful than Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook is probably our tool, but not young people's tool. So it's something that we'll be moving into shortly, I think.
Brilliant. And I'm sure you'd probably find another vocational student, perhaps maybe IDMT or business that would.
Yes, please. Anybody got any students out there? Let me know.
No, put it out there. I'll mention it in our Friday email. Are there any students that would like to take on a social media planning project? Or
That sounds great.
Brilliant. So you mentioned about the monitoring the temperature and how the technology supports you to, you get full readings. What other ways is the best way to ensure that from collection to consumption, the meals are distributed within the clear guidelines that you have for food safety?
Yeah. The one thing that we use is the temperature probe. So that's essential. So and it's just keeping a log of temperatures. That's our main thing, but also the process. So, once something's cooked, it needs to be cooled down to a certain temperature, and that can't be, in a big pot. You've actually got to put it into smaller, so there's a larger surface area and things like that. Technology is fantastic. I mean, there's a USB that you can get with international foods. They use it a lot. So, say for example, strawberries are going internationally. They put a USB probe on there, and it records the temperatures of the strawberries right across to where they arrive to. We're not quite at that stage, but further down the track, we are looking for cheap ways, not because it's about 80 cents a USB, I think, and the USBs don't come back. But, we can't afford that. But we are definitely looking for ways to monitor it even better.
That's fantastic. And again, another project for a technology. How can we do this in a way that's exponential, and it makes it available to everybody at a reasonable price? So yeah, definitely. All these challenges that so many organizations face and all those problems, it just creates so many opportunities for enterprise and engagement, which are fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. We've got a lady who works for Primary Industries on our team, and she's brought all these wonderful, fantastic information to us, and you just go, wow, I didn't even realize that these things were available. So I think, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, the future is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So, when actually just building on that, one more question. So when it actually reaches the agencies, how do you ensure that they maintain that standard of food safety once it's delivered? Is there any way that you can control that?
That's why the meals are frozen. We don't distribute the meals fresh, because it gives us that extra 2-hour window. If you leave a fresh meal out for 2 hours, you run into pretty bad trouble. But if you've got a frozen meal, you have a little bit slightly more leeway. So our agencies do realise that they've got to go straight in the freezer, and they're distributed frozen to their clients. I mean, just to give you a little bit of a spin, we have another project for 5,000 Meals where we're upcycling chef jackets, and a group of students up at Eastern Hills Senior High School, I'll give them a bit of a plug, Deb and her amazing homework sewing club, they've actually taken these chef jackets and they've made aprons from the front and the back of the jackets, but the sleeves of the jackets, they've actually working with HelloFresh, and they've got the bubble wrap and they've put it in the sleeves and made carrier bags to insulate the meals. And they've actually, even from the sleeves where the pens go, they've actually made a cutlery pouch, so that when a homeless person comes to collect their meals from one of our agencies, they get it in a cooler bag and they get cutlery, which is pretty special really, and it's all from our young people. So watch this space. I think it'll be quite special.
Yeah, and our young people are amazing. What they can create, the ideas they have.
They really are. Yeah.
Sometimes too undervalued, I think.
I think so. And I think that's our role, isn't it, is to help them realise just how marvellous they really are.
Yeah, and that's just one of the reasons. So and again, leading into our next question, the benefits for students and schools being involved in this programme. Obviously, the enormous value and the well-being and just that lift that you give the students as well must be an incredible one of those benefits.
I think that there's massive amounts of benefits. I imagine that every teacher would see them straight away. I think for me personally, I love the fact that young people shine, and they can give without having to have money. They can actually make a meal for someone and it makes somebody's day. You know that if you've got a nice meal in your belly and a nice something to drink, you feel fantastic, and we can create change just by making a delicious meal. But also I love the fact that schools are connecting with their communities, and I think once kids realize that they can help another person, that they're part of a bigger community, and that these agencies, I think kids are aware that there's homelessness. They're aware that all these problems exist. They just don't know a way to make it better for somebody or better for society. I think this program touches on a really valuable solution. I know from the very inception of this program, we had young people really wanting to know about homelessness. And if you go onto our website, the original documentary that they made on homelessness was just so absolutely incredibly amazing. People don't realise that these young people really they're really mixed feelings, and they have a lot of stuff that they want to understand and they want to make better. So it's very important these programs are really important.
Definitely empowering them to know that they have got the power within them to make a difference. And that's incredible. So in terms of, in order to broaden that and to enable more and more students to experience those benefits and to feel empowered, and for schools to feel valued and really enrich their curriculums, what activities have you undertaken to encourage more schools and teachers to participate?
That's a really hard one. I think everybody knows I'm pretty much out there banging the 5,000 Meals drum, saying, come on, let's get involved. I think, soup kitchens are another one that I've seen a lot of that in the schools, and I think that's really important. It's something simple, it's cost effective. I think, the activities of upcycling the chef jackets is another activity. I can't think of it at the moment, sorry.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier, that there's so many, you really value the schools because, it is an additional project that a busy teacher has to take on. So, it's interesting to know what that difference is between, the schools that take on that extra challenge, and then the ones that, what are potentially the barriers and fears of doing something like that. And, you know, I guess the training is probably, you know, a really big part of what you do, and how that helps teachers to, you know, become more comfortable, because they will be out of their comfort zone.
I think that is really big, one really big hurdle. The other hurdle is timetabling. Sometimes, you know, making meals on any meals takes time, especially when you're doing bulk. So that is one of the other additional barriers. And sometimes principals don't understand what you're actually really trying to put forward. I think home ec and vet particularly, we're very relevant to solutions for the community. So I think, you know, we're really quite lucky to be working in this area. I do know that other colleagues have done amazing projects. You know, the dignity bags. There's a lot that home ec and vet have potentially do within the community.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's very sort of practical in nature.
That's what kids love.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so much opportunity that can come from it.
Yeah.
So in terms of well, our next question is around what skills can you identify that align to the courses you deliver? Obviously, that's a question for each trainer that participates in this to answer that question for themselves. But for you, when you originally came up with this, what skills aligned, and how did that relate to what you were delivering in the classroom?
I think you know, the skill alignment is really around the bulk cookery, the hygiene, knife skills. But more than that, I think we realise that they're the skills that the kids actually come to be part of the package. But I think the other thing that the project allows you to do is that teamwork. It's, you know, you have to get into production lines, and you have to measure to make sure your meals are all the same weight and consistent. And I think there's, you know, that teamwork, building, communication, they're the really important ones that come out of this. And the engagement with community. I know that one of our schools in the southern region, we've actually aligned it to social cultural diversity unit, where we're actually working with the community themselves and asking them what meals suit their clients culturally. So I think that's it's what you're. For me, and the way that I operate in my programs, I look what my clients need, what my students, what do they need to learn, what are they lacking to make them successful people in the community. So for me, that engagement with cultural aspect is really important. You know, the identification of the diseases and you know, the health issues that community has. What could they do to modify recipes to make it more relevant and more suitable to the agencies that are receiving the meals? And I think that's where you empower teachers as well to do to give your students a real opportunity to learn something that no other course can actually do. So that's the power of what we do.
I love that. And it like you say, you're building their skills, and what an incredible you know, what an incredible thing to share, an experience to share on a resume for a young person. And also in their interviews, you know, when they're asked to show, you know, tell me about a time when you know, you had to understand your customer, or tell me about a time, you know, they can really,
that's right,
so much gold to share really from their experience.
It's just how far the actual teacher wants to take it. Like our teacher that we work with at Hall's Head, it was like she had a lot of background information on the clients that she wanted to pitch to. So there was a lot of communication, and we did a lot of work to work out what we wanted to do and how we were going to pitch it. I mean, for next year, we're really potentially looking at diets, post-colonial and now, and then the health issues around that. And I think we played with it this year, but definitely, you know, really going to stretch it out next year because I think it's so valuable. We've got that opportunity where there's so much information now available, and the comparisons are so much easier to make. Yeah, and you can play. It's fantastic. Yeah, education you can play. I love it.
Excellent. So, I mean, there's so many units of competency. I mean, you've got communicate effectively with others, work effectively with others, hospitality skills. What other units of competence? And you mentioned diversity and cultural sensitivity. You know, what units of competency, you know, would you map specifically the activity towards?
I just think there's so many, and you can cluster it. I mean, the way the recipes work, you can definitely tick a lot of the simple dishes and use equipment effectively, but it depends what course you're doing, because if you're doing a community service or active volunteering, there's definitely heaps of units of competency that this ticks. I think the list goes on and on. It's just what you're needing to tick as a trainer, teacher, but also what do your students need to tick as well. So it's one of those unique projects that allows you to be, you know, as creative as you like, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there any are there any sort of additional mapping tools to help them to demonstrate that evidence of how their activity meets that criteria?
I think what I would do, taking on this project for a school that hasn't done it before, is come and talk to me, come and talk to the team. When you're at the training days, you know, look at the unit, bring your units of competency, and the only way you're going to be able to know where it fits is to have it in front of you and look at the elements and go, okay, this project aligns with this, and you know, it shouldn't be extra work. It should actually just fit into your program outline like a glove, to be honest.
I know from when we were running our currency events that compliance and meeting that compliance for it sometimes was a barrier to some teachers in how do they actually take it on board and prove that what they're doing meets the needs for the qualification package. So so having that ability to take that with them on the training and talk to you about it should hopefully overcome some of those challenges.
We do have one of the things that we had as a barrier for 5,000 meals, not for schools particularly, was for community and agencies, was the fact that out of a year, schools only operate for 40 weeks. So we have a 12-week gap in the year where agencies potentially can't, you know, have beautiful meals from our students. So we do have a Saturday training session at a trade training centre in Belmont. So that's been opened up, and we have an accredited chef who's a Cert 4 trainer as well. So if teachers need currency or they need to discuss the training package, you know, there's somebody there to go, come on, this is how it fits. This is what you can do. You can tweak it this way to make it fit. How about if you cluster this? I think when you're learning and you're working with training packages, they're evolving all the time. But if you peel it back and you talk it out, it's not as hard as you first thought it was. I think that they are complicated anyway, but there's ways and means to meet your requirements. And sometimes it just takes that chat with someone who's worked with it a little bit. So,
Brilliant. That's awesome. And like you say, one of the massive benefits to the teacher is that network that they create by being part of your community project.
Definitely. I think, you know, we all work hard enough. Let's just be a little bit smarter, I think. And the way that we do that is by sharing. I think, you know, the days of keeping things to yourself is over. I think, you know, a balance, you know, you need to understand, yes, definitely. But sometimes if you work with like-minded teachers who are willing to share, it makes our load so much easier. Definitely.
Absolutely. So obviously with all this discussion about schools and benefits and you know what that brings, how can schools reach out to you to find out more and how they can get their school on board?
Yep. So we've got a website, Prepare, Produce, Provide. So the non-for-profit that I started is called Live to Tell Your Story. It was based on a research project that I was about, and I really loved that title. And the trading name is Prepare, Produce, Provide. So if you go to prepareproduceprovide.org, there's a lot of information there. There's a flyer, an expression of interest, and we have a coordinator, Di, and if you give her a call or give her an email, she'll actually talk things through with you. We do have quite a few spaces for term 4, so please let's get that freezer full for Christmas. That's what we're aiming for this term. And so that over our Christmas break, it's not so much Christmas because there's lots of meals made by different people for Christmas. It's that holiday season where family is under a lot of pressure, especially with COVID still around and unemployment the way that it is. We actually haven't seen a decline in our need to make meals. We've actually seen a consistent number of requirements. So it shows that our community is still under pressure. And I think with this change and, payments at the moment through Centrelink, it's still not, people are not feeling safe, I guess. So, come and join us.
Isn't it? Yeah, and that's great. And the we do have trainers from other states who are working through these resources and our case studies on industry engaged. And what can trainers from other states who see your project that would love to recreate that in so Victoria or Queensland or any of the other states, what can they do to reach out if they wanted to say support and extend the project to their state? What would you suggest they do?
I think just give us a call because we've got templates and, we're fantastic at sharing information. I think we're all in this together, as the motto is. Just give us a call and, it'll be great to chat to you and see how we can help. We do have some schools already in eastern states who are doing something similar, and we do keep in contact with them. I think it's important that we share resources and recipes and ideas. At the end of the day, this is what I've always thought, is that schools are an amazing powerhouse of young people and amazing teachers, and we can make and we do make amazing differences in the community. 5,000 meals is just my sort of a take on it, and I think if we see more of that, I think we're just having a more healthy community.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've reached the end of the discussion now, and I'd just really like to thank you.
You're welcome.
For sharing everything that you've done and created. And you really should be so proud of everything that you've achieved, because the ripple effects and the difference that you're making to those people, not only the people receiving the meals, but those students and teachers that are getting that value from it. The impact of that one initial idea that you had as a teacher to say, how can I engage my students with the community, has just created this amazing impact. So, well done. I think it's incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been as I wrote in my bio, it's been an incredible journey with the most amazing people. It's taken me interstate, it's taken me international, and it's amazing. I really love doing what I do. So thank you.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And, as I said, teachers, if you do want to be involved in this amazing project, do reach out to Cath, and obviously teachers, trainers that we have here from other states, get in touch and see if we can spread this, this incredible impact across Australia. So, yep. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.